Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to begin talking about our other modifier, adverbs. Adverbs tend to be a little bit more difficult than adjectives in all three phases of knowing about modifiers. So basically what I did was I broke down the three phases, and I'm going to go over them and ask you a couple questions about them, and then we'll talk about them more together in class. But what we need to know about any kind of modifier are the three things: are what they modify, where they can be in a sentence, and what questions do they answer. So adverbs are words in a sentence that modify either verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. That's what makes them difficult um, when compared to adjectives, because adjectives modify nouns and pronouns. And although they do modify two things, nouns and pronouns tend to be very similar in the things that they are and can do. Adverbs, on the other hand, not only modify verbs and adjectives, which are two very different things and two very different things in sentences, but they can also modify themselves, which also kind of throws in a bit of a difficult curve, I think, to adverbs, is the fact that they can modify themselves. So what I'd like you to do is take a look at the sentences underneath what they modify. So in the sentences, the dinosaur quietly ate my homework. If we look at this sentence, we need to find the adverb that is modifying the verb. To do this, it might be smart to find the verb first. So the verb of the sentence would be ate. What in the sentence is modifying the verb ate? Very good. So quietly. Quietly is what is modifying the verb ate. Adverbs can also modify adjectives. So he was very ugly and smelly. Find the adjectives in the sentence. After finding the adjectives, what is the word that is modifying really both of the adjectives in this sentence? Very nice. So the adjective or the adverb in this sentence that's modifying both of the adjectives would be very. How ugly and smelly are they? They're very ugly and smelly. Let's take a look at adverb. This one's a little bit difficult because there are two adverbs in this sentence. What is the adverb that is modifying the other adverb? So we have two adverbs, loudly and very. Loudly is telling me how he roared, and very is telling me how loudly it was. So that makes adverbs difficult in that they modify several different things. Another thing that makes adverbs difficult as compared to adjectives is that if you remember, and I keep saying this a lot, why don't we want to take an adjective on a date? The reason that we don't want to take an adjective on a date is because adjectives tend to be very clingy. They're right by what they modify. You can say the exact opposites for adverbs. Adverbs are not clingy. In fact, they're very aloof. So if we take a look at the three sentences, quickly come see the man running down the street. Come quickly, come see quickly the man running down the street. Come and see quickly the man running down the street. So if we take a look at these three sentences, we have a sentence where quickly comes before the verb that it's modifying to see, and we have two where we can see it come after the sentence that it's modifying. And I mean, really, if we wanted to, we could say something along the lines of like, so we take a look at this sentence, we can see I can put quickly in front of see as well. In each one of these sentences, quickly is modifying see, but and they're all in very different places. And that's something that we need to understand too. Adverbs can be anywhere in a sentence and still modify the same thing. They can come before what they modify, at the end of the sentence, right after what they modify. It really just depends on how the sentence is written. And that might throw in a little bit of a curveball for us because we may have an issue, understanding that unlike adjectives, adverbs can be anywhere when they're modifying something. Finally, we have the questions that they answer. Now, you can go to 8 different sources and get a list of 8 different questions that adverbs can answer. It just kind of depends on wording. Basically, I tried to simplify this as best as I can, but essentially, adverbs can answer, 4 questions. They answer when, where, how, and to what extent. All right? So if we look at the first sentence, come to my party tomorrow, what adverb in that question is, or in that sentence, is answering the question when? Same for where. Can you put the pizza there? What adverb, what word in that sentence is answering the question where? Okay, same question for the third sentence. I ask questions in class loudly. What is the word that's answering the question how in the sentence? And finally, to what extent tends to be the most difficult? So I never want to go on that roller coaster again. What adjective, or I'm sorry, what adverb in the sentence do you think is answering the question of extent? Extent meaning like, to what degree or how much, you want to do something. Right. So if you guessed correctly, you would have guessed never. So to what extent do you want to go on that roller coaster again, or how much do you want to go on that roller coaster again? I never want to go. And that includes words like not and ever and sometimes very. Those are all very common adverbs that we sometimes gloss over in a sentence, especially because, they are very, they're used a lot. But these are adverbs, always. These are always adverbs. So I tried my best to keep this video as simple as possible. I think maybe on the adjective video it got a little convoluted, so we will discuss these topics a little bit more tomorrow, but this is basically it. If you understand sort of what they can modify, where they can be in sentences, and what questions they answer, then you pretty much have the basics of this.